Residents in Abaco displaced following a devastating fire. The nation's leader conducting an assessment of the fire-ravaged community in Abaco. And police officials say affix your plate or face the consequences.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening. I'm Natalia Hall. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping the news this evening, a fire in the Haitian community of the Mud in Marsh Harbor, Abaco has left scores of residents displaced. The fire erupted yesterday morning, leaving them with just the clothes on their backs. The relevant agencies are now on the ground offering assistance. Our Megan Shepard is just back from Abaco and she has the details.
It was shortly after 6 a.m. when calls went out to the local police and fire department here in Marsh Harbor, Abaco, in a community commonly known as the Mud. Firefighters admit that it was a challenge getting into the community, but when they got in, what they met was shocking. Firefighters say it took hours to contain the large blaze.
Wires had to be cut in order for us to get down this way. It was very difficult getting trucks in and out just to feed one truck with water. Thankfully, the people were helping us a lot. We didn't have much trouble with that, so we're thankful for that. And to everyone that helped out. So the police were here on standby helping us as well. So it went as well as it could. It was challenging. I don't know if they got the generator behind us in the video, but when that blew, it was a pretty big explosion. Kind of scary. We tried our best to keep water on it and keep it cool, but the fire was just raging. So stuff like that is definitely a challenge, not knowing what's in the buildings. You know, we saw people taking propane tanks out, so, thankfully they know to remove that sort of stuff if they can.
Parliamentary Secretary and Member of Parliament for Central and South Abaco, James Aubrey, thanking God that no lives were lost and commending all first responders to the scene for a job well done. He says that now the task is to ensure that everyone that was affected and displaced by the fire will be taken care of.
And it was ultimately contained without any loss of life or major injury. We're very happy to report that despite the intense blaze, no one was injured and no one lost their life. That is the only silver lining out of today. Excuse me while I just reference this real quick. The estimated number of households at this point that were destroyed during the blaze is 55. Our current estimate of persons affected totals around 170. As of tonight, we have a temporary accommodation located for persons who don't have friends or family they could stay with for overnight accommodation, and in the next few nights while we all work towards a more stable solution. But that was one thing, speaking with displaced persons earlier today, to promise and make sure that we do have overnight accommodations so that everyone has a roof to sleep under tonight.
Officer in charge of Abaco, Kevin Mortimer, is thanking the public for their cooperation. He says a suspect is currently in custody assisting with investigations.
Initially, the police, upon receiving information, was able to arrest a person who was said to have been the arsonist. He is in custody assisting with his investigation.
I just want to advise all of the residents who are still here, please allow the police to conduct the investigation. Please cooperate with all of the governmental agencies. I'm hearing all sorts of stories where persons are perhaps undocumented, so they're running away. They're not allowing us, they're not allowing us to get the information. But we need information in order for the process to be advanced.
And now the process begins of creating a new sense of normalcy as they rebuild their lives from this tragedy. Reporting from the island of Abaco, I'm Megan Shepard for ZNS Network News.
Now, no injuries were sustained, but medical personnel reports that 6 persons were treated at the clinic for smoke inhalation. Telecommunications giant BTC springing into action immediately after learning of the fire in Abaco. Vice President of Customer Experience Eldry Ferguson Mackey says that their Abaco branch wasted no time in opening their doors and offering assistance to those in need.
It's actually across from our local BTC office in Abaco. Teams on the ground immediately sprung into action. We actually have teams now in Abaco. They're on the ground. They're distributing water, ice, basic necessities. We're also providing persons that may have been impacted with free minutes. We have cell phones that are available. The BTC retail store in Abaco is also open. So for individuals that need to make a call or need to make a long distance call back to their family members to assure them that they're okay, we also will have the store open for a limited amount of time today.
Mackey says that it was important for BTC to step in as a community and corporate partner. The team here in Grand Bahama packing goods to be sent to those affected in Sunday's blaze.
Abaco, we're all family. That's one cluster. So the team in BTC Grand Bahamas also assembled some supplies. So we're here at the airport. We're shipping the first set of items, and we're also going now to the boat to drop off portable generators, propane stoves, the portable stoves, gas, other food supplies, materials, etc., to make sure that we are able to provide some assistance to our, and I want to say customers, but they are our customers. They are customers and our family members that have been impacted.
In other news, the nation's leader heading a high-level delegation of cabinet ministers and government officials to Abaco this afternoon for a full assessment on yesterday's fire in the mud. The nation's leader calling for the area to be cordoned off. He says the government has a long-term housing program that will be made available soon. He is asking residents of the mud to buy into the housing subdivision. Now our team just arrived from Abaco, and we will have a full report coming up in the National Report. Switching gears now, testimony continuing today in the Supreme Court here in Freeport in the Barry and Sheena Johnson murder trial. The trial that began in September of last year is said to be winding down.
The Barry and Sheena Johnson murder trial has resumed in the Supreme Court. Chief Investigating Officer Sergeant 772 Lorenzo Johnson was back on the stand during the morning session. Attorney Jeffrey Farquharson, who is representing defendant Paul Belizaire, asked Johnson if he took Belizaire on inquiries and provided a report. Johnson replied yes. Farquharson then asked Johnson about the route they took while on the inquiry and asked Corporal Gayshell Russell to play the video of Belizaire's inquiry. Farquharson then viewed Corporal Akeem Oliver's report, who testified early in the trial, and Sergeant Johnson's report. He asked Johnson if he would agree that the language in both reports are identical. To that, Johnson said he used his own language. Farquharson then asked to make application to have both reports by Corporal Oliver and Sergeant Johnson be submitted as evidence because it seemed to be identical. At that point, Prosecutor Neil Brathwaite and Attorney Jeff Burrows, who's representing defendant Devon Hall, made an objection. Shortly after, Justice Estelle Gray Evans tried to clarify exactly what Attorney Farquharson was requesting, and the morning session came to an end. Paul Belizaire, Devon Hall, and Kevin Dames are all accused of 2 counts of murder, 1 count of armed robbery, and robbing the victims of their car keys and their GMC truck, valued at over $8,000. The Johnsons were shot and killed at their homes in Holmes Rock back in September of 2015. Reporting for ZNS Network News.
The officer in charge of the Police Traffic Division issuing a warning to drivers on Grand Bahama. Our Kimberly Mullings has the details.
Though the new traffic system has been in place across the Bahamas for some time now, the officer in charge of the traffic department, Superintendent Jeremy Henfield, says there are still a lot of vehicles on the streets of Grand Bahama without license plates affixed.
The law states that they must have a front and rear plate attached. From the road traffic department, we have spoken with them, and we know for sure that all or the majority of the plates are here. Those persons who have their vehicles registered in the GR series, all of the plates for GR ranging from 0001 to 9999 are here and at the office of the road traffic department. That is the very same thing for persons who have their vehicle registered in the GD series.
He says plates are here on Grand Bahama and must be collected and put on vehicles as soon as possible, or consequences will follow.
We're going to take a more serious approach to it, and then we're going to start to ticket you, issue FPNs for those offenses. No front plate, no rear plate, they are offenses. And so to avoid you being ticketed and having to go and pay a fine, we ask that you just go in to the road traffic department, collect your plate, and please affix them to your vehicle.
Superintendent Henfield says they are keeping an eye out for traffic offenses in addition to absent license plates. It is their hope that motorists would be mindful of their roles as they traverse Grand Bahama.
One of the other offenses that we have is dark or tinted windows, and that is something that we're gonna pursue in short order. When I say short order, I mean short order. We be all out as it relates to dark tints. We have vehicles, some driving with one headlight, and there's a whole list of other road traffic offenses. And so we appeal to the motoring public, please take some time out. Take some time out, walk around your vehicle, check your vehicle to make sure that you have all of the necessary lights and signal and so on working, before you take to the street.
Superintendent Henfield says there was a recent training exercise a few weeks ago, resulting in more officers being trained to patrol the streets of Grand Bahama via motorcycles. He says this will prove to be beneficial for all.
We can cut down response time, not only with the traffic, but also with crime. If you get a call of some theft or some burglary, a cycle can probably get to that scene a little bit more quicker than a car could. And so it is our intentions to put as much cycles on the street as possible.
Kimberly Mullings, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Kimberly. Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, continues in just a moment.